Yeah, that's why I'm more after knowledge.
Hashem is always good to us.
Yeah, very good.
You have to love Hashem regardless.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
The reason we didn't say Tachanun today is
Yeah.
Yud Kislev is the Chag Geula, the Mittel Rebbe. Someone asked how come it's not written in the Siddur. It's from the days that we don't say Tachanun. That's hardly a question, since the Chag Geula was the Mittel Rebbe, the second Lubavitcher Rebbe, and the Siddur was written by his father, the first Lubavitcher Rebbe. So it wasn't shaykh to write. It didn't happen. The story didn't happen yet. But the question could be asked when the Alter Rebbe wrote the list of days not to say Tachanun. In the Siddur, he didn't write Yutes Kislev, which is also the day of his Chag Geula. Pashas, the answer is because of his humility. He didn't want to, write a day that was, even though it wasn't a personal thing, but still it was a day that was connected to him. The Siddim say that that's why he wrote in the before of Volotzion, he writes Minik Svarad Yomim She'ein Omrim Bem Tachanun. What do you mean Minik Svarad? But he's writing it for his Siddim. They're not living in Spain. They're not living in Morocco. They're living in Minsk and in Shklov and in Lyozhne and Liadi. But so the Chassidim said that he was meramas that these days you don't say Tachanun about the Sfardim, but there's another few days that we don't say Tachanun, which one of them is Yutas Kislev. Today is the Chag Geula, the Mittel Rebbe. It's a big day, and yesterday was the Yortzeit and also the Yom Haledes of the Mittel Rebbe. The Rebbe once spoke about it that the Chazal say by Moshe Rabbeinu that Kadosh Baruch Hu was Mamalish Neshem Shal Tzadikim Yom Liyom. By Moshe Rabbeinu, he was born and passed away exactly the same day. How come not every tzaddik we see that way? If Chazal say Kadosh Baruch Hu was Mamalish Neshem Shal Tzadikim, so how come we only see it by certain tzaddikim? So the Rebbe said that spiritually it's relevant to every tzaddik. Every tzaddik has a complete light, a full light. But there's certain tzaddikim that we see physically that they're mamish, the day they were born is the day they pass away. You see the full cycle, the shleimus. And the Mittel Rebbe was that way. He was born, he passed away the same day. There was this week I was looking at Sefer Shailas Tshuvos. One of the very big chassidim, his name is David Nechemia, and he passed away in the same day he was born. His name was Reb Nechemia of Dubrovna. So it was an interesting dintoy. At the end of the Sefer, I saw a very interesting dintoy that went on. I figured it was really should have been maybe saved it for the Chodesh for Tu B'Shvat. Mishas B'Shvat is on a Sunday. We would learn it for Mishas B'Shvat, his yard site. So anyway, I figured we'll a little look at this tshuva. That Nehemiah was a businessman. He was not an official rabbi. They said that he was once on a train, and it was one of the Gedolei Olam that was with him in the train. They were talking and learning. He realized this guy was brilliant. So he asked him, "I don't understand. I never heard your name. I never heard about you." So he said, "I'll give you a mashal." He said there was once a bookseller. He was a peddler. He was going from town to town, and he was selling svarim. We came to the Rav's house. The Rav invited him to have breakfast in his house, and he sees bookcases full of svarim from the floor to the ceiling. He said, "Rebbe, you could sell your books. You become rich." So the Rav says, These books are for sale. They're not for sale. My books are not for sale." So the Nechemia said the same thing here. His learning Torah was not for sale. His father actually became a chassid of the Alter Rebbe. In one of his truvas, he brings a beautiful word from his father. His father told him that the Alter Rebbe once said that what does it mean to be koveya itim laTorah? Chazal say a person kavata itim laTorah. What does it mean? This language, kaviyus itim. What is kaviyus? The Alter Rebbe said that the hazalocha kola kavua kemechza al mechza dami. That if it's said, it's like mechza mechza. That even though usually we say we go with roiv, but if it's kavua, it's mechza mechza. If a person, it's like 50-50. So it is said the same thing here. When a person has a sheer learning that's set, it doesn't matter rain or shine that he has in his day that he knows that he has to learn Torah. So even though that hour is not Roiv of the day, it's only 1 out of 24 hours or 2 out of 24 hours, because it's kavua, it's set, it's very strong by the person. Then that's the dominant thing in the person's life because that sheer Torah is kavua.
I learned that the time you're so busy, you have to take the time.
That's a separate
That's
thing.
a,
That's a separate thing.
right.
You have a little time. So Reb Nechemia was the story was like this. Reb Nechemia had a factory. He had a factory. What was it? What were they selling? They were selling talesim. It was until before the war. That factory was in other words, when the communists came over, then they took over. So it was that. But for over 100 years, the family had a factory of talesim, and it became had a it was called the Dubrovna talesim. A lot of Yidden in Dubrovna worked in this factory, and when his father-in-law passed away, and there were three daughters. He was married to the oldest daughter, and then there was another two daughters that were married. And he wasn't sure if he wanted to go into business or he wanted to stay in learning. Or he should take a position in Rabbonos. In the meantime, it's a factory. You can't, close down a factory and think what you want to do.
Okay.
So he agreed with the two brother-in-laws that he's going to run the factory for 6 months, and then they'll decide what they want to do. They had also taken a bezdin as a law to try to figure out how they'll split their father-in-law's Yerusha. Ibn Nechemia and the second brother-in-law apparently lived in the same town, in the city of Dubrovna, and apparently the business was not just a business. They had the rights from the governor of Vitebsk to have a factory, and they had exclusives. In other words, they were the only ones allowed to have in the region of Dubrovna factory, which was a big deal. And the father-in-law Yashin with the factory, there was a factory and there was machines, and also he was a businessman, so he also had loans. People owed him money, goyim. So there was a whole package. There was a lot of things going on in the business. It wasn't just a building. There was buildings, there was machines, there was merchandise, there was loans,
Like every factory.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I'm just telling the story the way the son of the dividend Nechemia tells it, and the Torah finished.
There was no sabah
To,
from the father.
no. So now the question was how to split it up. So they took three boidim. They picked three people that they should help them figure out how to split the Yerusha. In the meantime, Reb Nechemia decided that he doesn't want to be a Rav, he doesn't want to be a Rosh Yeshiva. He wants to continue learning, but he wants to run the business at the same time. And the other brother-in-law decided that they're going to be partners. And they decided that they're going to ask the third brother-in-law who lives far away. They'll try to buy his part of the business, and then he'll get cash. He'll get cash for his part of the business. And they were thinking. While they were thinking, one of the three boidim came to Reb Nechemia and he said he has a quick business deal, a really good business deal, a metzia, and he wants to ask him for a loan. So he asked him for a loan, 500 ruble. This is over 200, about 200 years ago. Say it was the year 1800 the story happened. You still see whatever the dates. So 25 years ago, whatever. No, this happened. It was right after Muhammad Fatim. So it was 1816. Okay, so it's 210 years ago. And he says, I need a loan. So he gave him a loan of 500 ruble. What did the guy do? The guy jumped on a horse and galloped all the way to the city where the youngest brother-in-law is. And he told him, listen, business is really bad these days. And it was right after the Napoleon War. He said that the supply chains and businesses is all disrupted. Huh? Terrorists. So he said business is really bad and it's getting worse, and it's only going to get worse and worse and worse. But it's a shame. We put a moratorium 6 months on the thing. And in the meantime, by the time you're going to get your part of the Yerusha, it's going to be worth peanuts. You know what? Sell me your third in the business. Sell me your third in the business. I asked him, how much do you think it's worth? So he said, I think it's worth 500 ruble. Okay.
That's what he borrowed.
This is what he borrowed. Yeah. Now he bought. They wrote a contract, and the man and his wife both signed that they're selling to this boider. His name was Rabbi Cheskel. They're selling him a third of the business. When he came back to Dubrovna, Reb Nechemia and his brother-in-law were fuming. Steam was coming out of their nose and their eyes and their ears. First of all, they said that a third of the business is worth 10,000 ruble, not 500 ruble. Second of all, they said, we don't want to deal with this guy. This guy is a crook. He tells me he needs a loan. I give him an interest-free loan for 500 ruble. He buys a third of my business with my money and then stabs me in the back and tries to twist the knife. A deal's a deal. Contract is a contract. Huh?
He was misled.
Okay. Mekach is a nice argument. But Nechemia Nechemia was a big Talmid Chacham, and he had another dozen and a half arguments together with Mekach because Mekach, you could say, it's not a tos. The first and the most brilliant of his arguments were that there's a Gemara about Kni'at v'chamoy. And there's Taka Machloik is how we pass them then. There's two Gemaras, one in Gemara in Kiddushin, one in Gemara in Baba Basar. A person says to his neighbor, you know what? I'm giving you 1,000 dinar. 500 dinar will be for you, and 500 dinar for the donkey. So there is a machloikis, and in the Gemara in Mishameis, the Gemara says that you're not the donkey can't be koina 500 dinar. Not like today, people leave a Yerusha for their dog, or people leave a Yerusha for a cat. Chazal say that an animal cannot own anything. It's not shy for an animal to have any ownership. You can't leave a tzavah and leave like people leave Yerusha for their pet. You can't leave a Yerusha for a pet. Yeah, people do that. But api alocha, it's not valid. Only a human being can own.
It's not for a pet.
No, you can own a pet. You could own a pet, but the pet can't own you.
Right.
So
How that's a pet. When there's a pet in the house, you're the tenant.
Okay. So Nechemia said in this deal there were contracts with Goyim, and these contracts were all part of the deal. Now, with a goy, you can't make a kinyan with a shtar. It doesn't work. And in general, making a kinyan with a goy is different than making a kinyan with a Jew. And because part of the deal is off, the whole deal is off. That was a very big argument that he made. And then he wrote a letter to his great uncle, who was a Talmud of the Shagas Aryeh, who was also a very rich man and also a big lamda. His name was Rabbi Yeshua Tzeitlin. And then there was a tshuva Rabbi Yeshua Tzeitlin wrote back to strengthen the hands of Reb Nechemia. Why did I look at this tshuva? Just because I have a grandson. His name is Yeshua Tzeitlin. And I see the name Yeshua Tzeitlin perked my interest. So I asked my son-in-law. I asked him. Plus, I asked. We know, besides him being a brilliant Talmid Chacham, he was very rich. So my son-in-law said, "We don't know, but we definitely did. We definitely didn't yash. We don't know where the money. We don't know where the money is.
Wouldn't change the shit if they're already married."
So look turn to page in the Divrei Nechemia. Nechemia wrote shuvas his whole life. By night, by day he was in the factory. By night, and he passed away on Chamisha B'Shvat. all night he was writing a tshuva. There was a certain tshuva about talesim. Maybe we should do that on his yard site. He wrote all night. He was writing a tshuva until in the morning he davened shachris, and then he passed away. So, at the end of the sefer, there's a few interesting things, and this is from his son. His son writes like this: "Uvda she'ida lemechaber bel yaldusa, v'zeh gufa de uvda bektzara. Chesanta hiniach yorsha v'rak bonus ba'isa ir. V'achas nasuya b'ir belinitz l'reb tzvi. V'nisha bezav and ba'is choyma b'toich a fabrik. Ba'is choyma means a real house, not just a house like in the shtetl that was built from wood. A ba'is choyma means a house that was built with cement and bricks. ובתוך הפבריק מטלסים עם כל כלי מלוך מטלסים בעינם מזומם וחייבס בשטורץ ובעל פה על יהודים ואינם יהודים. וכוסף זכוס וכסב זכוס מסר from the governor of that region שמבעל אדם אין אשר שול אדם להחזיק פבריק בכל היורס היושבים תחתיו. That this family is the only right to have a fabrik, to have a factory. After Petiris Choysen, the Kibbutz Lov, Eser Pinchas Mishklov, Reb Shlomo Freides, Reb Cheskel Medroye, LePashronim. Pashru Sheyir, Avagona Mechaber Mesasek B'chol Azovim Mesach Chatzi Shona. Akavol Ischar al Zeh. Ube'ez Yeshivas HaPashronim Gile Habal, I don't know what it is, Habal Abayis. Megisoi, Reb Tzvi mi Belenitz sheretzoyne limker chelke legise machaber. Probably Gila Habaldin. It's a typo, or something like that. Anyway, the younger brother-in-law Reb Tzvi said that he really wants to sell. He doesn't want to be involved in the business anymore. Veheshiv, and Reb Nechemia said sheretzoyne liknas. In theory, he would like to buy it. The Pashranim said that there's a freeze on the business for 6 months. He can't do anything. Acher ze kom echet the Pashronim. Reb Yecheskel anal bikesh gemach ma machaber ubepiv diber esreyu. In his mouth, he was, he's my good friend. Ubekir yosim orbay. V'nos ala Belinitz. He went to Belinitz. V'ishtadl betachbula shoynes ushkorim. Ech she'ein berotzen v'yechelis gisa machaber liknes chelke. He said, number one, I know your brother-in-laws are not in the position to buy from you this part of the business. Just a lie. They had the money. And vehiktin shavia fabrik, ki neras aisik misibus malchomas atzafati. V'dover diber aleis gisose shetevos bezeh shim kerbar lechelke ki neged ze yiten lo tof kuf ruble. So he'll give her 500 ruble. I mean, today 500 ruble is not. You can buy a pack of cigarettes. Ve'osas shtar matona labalo. She made a star to give over her part of her father's Yerusha to her husband. And the husband sold to this Rabbi Cheskel with a Kinyan Sudar his portion in the Yerusha. All the contracts, because of What's a kinyan sudar? The kinyan sudar is that the buyer gives the seller his handkerchief. He gives him his handkerchief, and the seller takes the handkerchief, he picks it up, and that makes the sale. That's called kinyan sudar. Something's called kinyan chalit.
Before the wedding, they do
Like you do before the wedding,
Yeah.
like you do exactly. That's the standard.
When you sell chametz,
That's one of the kinyan, one of the many kinyan. Yeah, but that's the kinyan we make with the chassan when we make ksuva. That's also the kinyan we make from all sides when we make a shtari tenoim. We give the edim, which are in the place of the buyer, give a handkerchief, or give a gartel, or give a hat to the seller, and they make a kinyan, right? Chassan obligates himself to go into the contract of the ksuva. The edim would stand over there. They give in the name of the kala. They give a gartel to or a handkerchief to the chosin, be very careful with the handkerchief. So you say a handkerchief, so they can take a handkerchief that's sitting on the table, but it has to be that you can't. It has to be a handkerchief that belongs to the lekeach, belongs to the Edom, not belongs to the hall. Anyway, so they made a kinyan suder, and kshevoda adova varamos lahani tregisi. When the two older brother-in-laws found out about it, Soku Thomas. Kikicha shlofonav shegisa egel shirtzayin aliknas mena vekibla dayanim bezablov shlish. Zeu toichin in bektzora. Velu divra machab mashkosel tzadik l'schusul l'doider avagoyen hagodel sarv godel v'yisrol b'shua tzeitlem. Skip the Shalom Aleichem. Hine anire beine posh. Sheyesh levatel kol iker akin yesuda meikore. Agam shenichte bekol teke vei kefi nus chanog al pitikum sefer. Ach nimtza kosa vei befedish shakin yesuda hoya alakoil. It was written in the contract that the kinyan suda was on everything. The Ain ala fabrik, ala mazumim, v'chayves, al Yehuda v'ene Yehudim, b'shtara b'peh, shei b'tech hazavim. Vim ken yesh lodem, l'kni at v'chamoir. It's like a case of kni at v'chamoir. So the Nehemiah was saying that the whole deal is off. Why is it the whole deal off? Because the goyim, a kinyan suda doesn't work by a goy. And because part of the Yerusha was that the governor of Vitebsk gave permission that in the city that this family are the only family that could have a factory in Dubrovna, and there was also loans, and with a goy you can't make a kinyan suder, so what that kinyan can't be chal. So because half of the kinyan is not chal, the whole kinyan is not chal, the whole kinyan is bottom of vutel. Im ken shloden ki at v'chamer, fi mach kosav ramo b'simer eish gimel, yish b'zeh sholosh days. I am the muhzik. Me and my brother-in-law are running now the factory. So we're muhzakim. And we say that the halacha is like the Rishonim that say that the donkey doesn't get 500 dinar. And I also don't get anything because the chamor is because it's one deal. So either the whole deal stands or the whole deal falls. So there's really three opinions about this halacha. Let's turn the... Yeah. It doesn't make no difference. A goy can never be koina with kinyan suda. With a kinyan suda, no, you have to make a different kinyan. As the not can be a kinyan suda. It could be a kinyan that the malucha recognizes as a kinyan, which the U.S. government and the Russian government 210 years ago didn't recognize a kinyan suda as a kinyan. But he said that in the contract was written that it's only as a koran dvorim, and that the kinyan was not chal from the contract. The kinyan was chal through the suda. That was his taina. He said if you made a contract and the Russian government they recognize contract, pajalista, as they say. But because there was not a contract, it was only written as a koran dvorim of what happened, and the kinyan was a suda. Now, obviously, when the people that didn't have Suda is a very good kinyan. What's Shaila Kenshin Zain? But he said, no, but you're saying that you made a kinyan Suda. Yeah. So Metoich, it's not chal on the goyish part, it can't be chal anything, and the whole kinyan is bottled. That was a brilliant taina, like someone said before. He could have said it's a mekach tos. He said, yeah, that tos not. He just wanted to come with some tainas that were like, that were ironclad. He wanted to come. He had another few tainas, but this is the first taina of his three main tainas.
Rabbi, if I'm a partner, I can sell my partnership without my partner's nose. Can do that. He did it without his brother nose.
Right. There's nothing to say that. If something which yeshba kedei chaluka, yeah, they could. Partner could sell.
Why is it not chal by a goy?
Because kinyan suda doesn't apply by a goy.
There's no reason.
There's no such thing.
Doesn't work.
Well, Chazal made special kinyanim for Jews that don't apply for goy.
The person who went behind and worked for the umbrella, you saying he was a goy?
No, he was a Jew. But part of the deal when they made the kinyan suda was that it's the factory and also all the contracts they have standing with goyim was included. And since you can't anything that involves a goy can't be with a kinyan suda. So he claimed that because 50% of the deal is bottled, the whole deal is bottled. Turn the page to the other side. A machlev karka bekarka. A metaltal bekarka karka metalka shazach zen schayz bechalipa. Vago. Hichlif moz metaltal moz for karka beyachem. That he did a deal together. He did a kinyan kalipin, and it was say moz bekarka or moz metaltal. So the truth is, a person could be money is very hard to be makna money because money is not a banana. Money is not a salad. It's very it's the pay. A kesef kohen azov kohen a kesef. So, but you could make a kinyan of kesef agav karka. But here they didn't do it. They did a sale. I'm selling you a farm plus 100 zuzim. Yeshaimrim. One opinion says Chalipim is not kohen b'moz. It's battle kolakin. V'yeshanim the opposite. The kolakin kain. They say migui that the kinyan goes for the karka, goes also for the moz. V'yeshanim the kain eitzel karka v'metaltalin. Ubatel eitzel moz. That what works works and what doesn't work doesn't work. So 50% of the deal is good and 50% of the deal is bad. You could do a kinyan suder for karka for metaltalin. You can't do for money. So whatever is legit. Whatever works. Whatever doesn't work. These are the three opinions.
They still arguing about the guy who went on a horse for the 500 ruble?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes, that's what we're still arguing about. Okay. Let's go to skip the next few lines.
Mm-hmm.
And the quote, Sma. Reuben gave to Shimon his handkerchief, and he said to them, I'm giving you my handkerchief, and you're going to give me your farm plus 100 zuz. The Ramah brings to three opinions. The Kona, later, if there was a contract, the guy sold them. He said, I'm selling you 10 cases of apples. And also next year I'm gonna have 10 cases of apples. I'm selling you this year's apples and next year's apples. I can sell you my apples from this year. I can't sell you my apples from next year.
They haven't been born yet.
They haven't been born. It's Dava Shaloi Baloyolim.
Oh.
But so what happens if this contract, there were I sell you 10 cases of apples that are right now in the garage, plus another 10 cases of apples that from next year. So
Yeah, but what if someone pledges mice that they haven't earned yet?
Tzedakah is a little different because tzedakah could be good because it's a neder that you made with your mouth. It talks about it there. The kona that whatever is a kinyan is a kinyan, whatever is a kinyan, not a kinyan is not a kinyan. So why is it that originally he brings three opinions and later he only brings the third opinion? Well, the Yashru zat tzirich l'hagdam mishkosav mordechai perik mishameis. The Sham kosav agimul deis ritzufim zeh. He brings the three opinions. A miltza b'tayim avin gam kemaram b'darke Moshe. V'hu kosav sham zel shayne. Ma'ase b'echet sheikne l'chaveda b'kinyan suder kekosav metalkel mamos b'bas achas. That he sold them a farm, he sold them a wagon full of widgets, and he sold them 100 ruble, all the vasachas in one contract, in one kinyan suda. The just like a person said that the chamoy and his friend will be coin a half. No one's coin anything. Same thing here. That usually a kinyan suda doesn't work for money, but over here, because the kinyan already worked for the karka, it'll work for the mos. Simply because the afka of the mos the karka so metalklum kona. That whatever works, whatever doesn't work, doesn't work. Niknim mechosem sheyesh lahem achrayis bekesev b'shtar mechazoker amrin the gemara the beinen agav lomali agav likni metaltlim b'migui the chayel akarka The Gemara says that you make a kinyan agav, that the money is agav akarka. What do you need agav? If it's in the same deal, we'd say migri, it's chayla karka, it's chayla also on the money. Shmamina, it doesn't work that way. When a deal is bad, if half the deal is bad, that half is bad, and whatever is good is good. Therefore, the only way to sell money is agav karka. Okay. I'm just gonna.
Cash in the drawer, selling, this cash line.
That's why every cat. This is what this mez is a very. I'm going to leave it at this point because time is moving. The bottom line is he had other tainas also, and he wanted the Torah on this taina, even though it seemed like a little bit of a weak taina. It was a mekatoes. He fooled him. He said he took a loan from him. The guy took a loan from him and bought the business against him from a loan from him. But all those tainas, you could say this, you could say that. But he wanted the Torah on this taina because he said, I'm a muhzik, and it's taka machlokes RIshon about kniyat mechamoir, and he wanted the Torah on this taina.
Wait, who won? Which one?
Reb Nechemia. And he ended up having this factory until the last day of his life. And they said about him that he was a big Baal Tzedakah. And there were days that the factory were very doing well, and there were days that the factory was not so well. But he was always a person that was besimcha. It didn't matter if his business was doing good or the business was doing bad. It didn't matter whatever the business was doing. The person, he was always besimcha. Okay. Maybe maybe on Chamishas B'Shvat we'll do another part of the tshuva because the day of his yortzeit. No, it was he himself. They picked a zablo. He can't ask him for himself. Even his great uncle, Rabbi Seitan, wrote, "I'm only writing a Chavas Das, but I'm apostle to the din because it's my great nephew." Well, the point he wanted in Torah, and he ran the factory, and Adayon there was you have until the war, there was a big that factory stood there in Dubrovna. Lately, there was some article somewhere they showed a picture of a burnt out building. They said this was the famous building, the Dubrovna Talesim. Yes or no? Who knows? Didn't find any Talesim there. They found a burnt out building, an old building outside Dubrovna, which is a shtetl hamlet now, with still a few horses. They found a big building, burnt out. So they said that was the factory. Yeah, nicht, ich weiß nicht.
That part of Russia.
No, I think Dubrovna now is in what's it called? It's near Minsk. Huh? Yeah, in White Russia. Yeah, Belarus. Okay.
So, Rabbi Moroza say they had a story with the Rebbe Betalesim.
Yeah, that's a separate thing. We'll leave for another time. Okay. Tonight we have to have a Fabrengen. Tonight is Chag Geulah, the Mittler Rebbe, Mitzvah tonight. 8:30, we're going to have a Fabrengen here. And we have to start the season of Fabrengens. It's Tes Kislev, Yud Kislev, Yutas Kislev, Yudalat Kislev, Chanukah. We got to get into the mode of the Fabrengens. So Yutas Kislev is going to be Thursday night. It'll be in the we're going to do it in Young Israel in there. The second floor. We're doing it on Thursday night. No, not this Thursday, next Thursday. We're going to have, even though it's not Yutas Kislev, but the problem is that I have Sheva Brachas that week and I don't want to have conflict of interest. So the last Sheva Brachas is on Wednesday, really on Thursday lunch. So we're going to have Thursday, in 2 weeks, Thursday night, we're having the big Fabrengen. We're going to have Rabbi Frei Mintz, who is the executive director of JLI. If you remember, we used to have here. We had him 18 years ago. Yeah. So, okay. L'chaim. Tonight, the Mitzvah Shem, Fabrengen L'kov the Chag Geulah.
Moshe Rabbeinu was born and died the same day.
Yeah.
Rebbe died and born the same day.
We see by Tzedek.
Moshe Rabbeinu?
Yeah, it's a special thing. Yeah.
And sick.
It's the Mitzvah Rebbe is that way. No, I'm going to make them see him on Thursday. Yes, we have another day. We have another day. What can we do? I originally scheduled it for Yutas Kislev.
Yeah, Zimun.
And I was a Shloch Brothers. The musician called me.
You went?
Oh, Gatzlacha.
You watch?
If you do mayim achonim under the table, spill it on your hip finger and it goes on the floor. No
Not a
problem.
problem. It's not a problem.
Not a-
The Gemara says in a fall, if the water falls, it doesn't sound like a carpet, is it? The carpet is not the, in the karka.
Right.
Where's the
Two
water?
opinions if you should go on the karka, but the carpet is not a karka.
Oh, so if
It
it's
is-
on the floor, it's no good.
It's a carpet
Where's
is
the-
not the problem. Wood floor is not a good.
No, this is
Cement floor is maybe a problem. If you got up, I got left. Okay.
On Shabbos, I met a guy from Blue Pomegranate. I gave him aliyah, but I spoke to him to leftover from Pomegranate for you to Kislev. Maybe you could speak to him.
Okay, I'll speak to him. Okay.
When you
Okay,
do it
Shkai.
early, when you speak to the boss, then it's different, completely different in the last second.
Okay, fine. Okay, very good.
You have his number?
Yeah, I have his number.
Okay. We'll see you
Shkai,
tonight. We'll see you
Shkai.
tonight,
Okay.
B'ezrat Hashem.
Yes. Okay, very good. Shkaya.
Shvi, no shear this morning? It's Kislev? It's a week before you test Kislev?